What's going on, people? Georgio Savvides here, founder of the Hip Hop Orchestra, as well as the host of the Hip Hop Orchestra Presents podcast. And I got a really exciting announcement to finally make with everyone, is that we have our very first official sponsor for the podcast. Now, they are an amazing company called Odin's Vote, who are extremely dedicated in bringing you the very best in officially licensed merchandise from pop culture. And when I mean the very best, I mean the very best. They provide things like keyrings, caps, t-shirts, to Funko Pops, to statues from all over, such as DC, Marvel, Disney, The Mandalorian, Harry Potter, music artists from all over the place, and they are ridiculously good. I've got a couple of things to show you on offer at the moment. This trust me, their stuff is amazing. So, t-shirts, like I mentioned, like the one I'm wearing right now. It's got Rocky right here, which I absolutely love. Or, like I said, also got Funko Pops as well, 3.75 inches and 10 inches. I've got a couple of 10 inches right here for you. I've got Post Malone right here, and I've also got Biggie right here, who I absolutely love. These are so sick. Odin's Vote, trust me, they are amazing. Now, I'm going to leave the link below in the video right here, and also in the description below as well in all future videos from the podcast. But trust me, Odin's Vote are amazing. Website is www.odinsvote.co.uk. Get in touch with them now and start buying ASAP. But also, before I forget as well, I just want to say the biggest thank you to Odin's Vote for sponsoring the podcast. It means the absolute world to me. Thank you. And trust me, get in touch with them right now. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And peace. What's going on, people? Welcome to another edition of the podcast, and today we're joined by another amazing guest today, pianist, composer and founder of the Infinity Orchestra, Okiem. How are you doing, sir? You okay?
Very, very good, man. Very pleased and excited to be here.
I'm so glad to have you on. Everything okay?
Yeah, it's as good as it can be. So, thankful, feeling good. So,
Thank God for that. So, what's actually, I love the background, by the way. I'm loving the studio vibes.
Yeah, this has been my project while we've been locked down. I kind of wanted to get a new space, so I built this from the ground up. It's like a log cabin vibe.
Wow.
So plant wall and the screen and some inspiration on the screen and some lights, man. Yeah.
I love that, man. How long did that take to do?
About 3 or 4 weeks.
Oh, really?
Well, because we got all this time, I was binging all these YouTube videos about setup, and so I've got a standing desk. I know it's more audio, this, isn't it? So I can't really show, but yeah, it's a sort of the whole desk unit goes up so I can stand up to work. So it's just configuring a space for how I like to work.
I love that. How do you find having your own studio now to work in? You must have had it before, but how do you find having your own sort of amazing setup now to work with?
Yeah, I already feel more productive. That's the most important thing, So actually, right in front of me here, there's a piano right here. And
nice.
On the desk, there's a slide out MIDI keyboard in here as well. Obviously I've made it so there's a few videos so we can have more video conferencing and video virtual performances. So,
nice. Yeah. That's brilliant. So you got a few things coming up, haven't you, in terms of the virtual thing, like the yoga thing coming up as well, and Sunday performances as well. The Sunday slowdowns is what you got coming up.
That's the one.
Yeah. Are you all ready for those, yoga and the Sunday slowdowns?
Yeah. So I'm still just testing out different camera angles, and what is really important to me at this stage is trying to make a virtual gig experience really good.
Yeah.
And up until now, I've not felt sort of really proud of what I've been putting out. Like it's had a really good reaction. It's been really good, but when I listen back to it, the audio's not been quite as good as I would have liked. And so now I've got 3 camera angles, which I can flick between in real time. High quality audio, because for the music I'm doing, especially solo piano music, it has to sound good. You can't have the distortion. I want the other person to hear like the reverb and some of the feeling that I feel in this room.
Of course. How many have you done so far? Have you done quite a few, or just
no,
so
well, over the last year I've done quite a few. I have done a lot. The pre-recorded ones have been fine, but the actual live stream ones I've not been too happy with.
So, really?
Yeah, that's why I started the Sunday Slowdown. So the first one will be in March, and we'll be on top of it from then.
Nice. So what are they about actually? Is it just like a chill Sunday vibe, or is it like workouts as well, or what's the kind of setup for that?
So when we sort of first went into lockdown, I noticed I was getting a different kind of message on Instagram, and it's people saying, "Is a real sort of outpouring of thanks." They're like, "Thank you so much for your music. It's really helping me in this tricky time. It's lifting my spirits, my emotions, my feeling. I'm really connecting with the music." And so it's kind of born out that I was like, right, people appreciate just having some time to get into the music. So I thought, right, let's start this. I called it the Sunday Slowdown. So we'll have about 45 minutes of just solo piano, uninterrupted, just to give people that chance to chill. So if you want to meditate, if you want to do yoga, if you want to work out, however you want to sort of receive it on the other end of it is your choice. It's not going to be sort of guided. It'd just be some time.
That's amazing. Is this from your new album that you've got coming out now as well? Or already released?
Yeah, it'd be the new album, it'd be stuff from my first song. I'm not going to try and prepare it too much. I have an idea, but I'll kind of just get into the moment and what feels right at the time.
Amazing. And you know, you got a couple coming up. Are you planning to do that sort of like weekly Sunday Slowdowns as well, or like monthly? How do you plan to do it in the future?
So we'll start bi-monthly. So we got the 7th of March and the 21st of March.
Nice.
So we'll kind of see how it picks up. If there's demand enough for a weekly one, I'll do it weekly. And I've got to see what it's like in real life, because it may turn into a bit of a chat at the end of it. Or maybe if you just want the music. So I'll feel it out, and we'll see what's the best way to continue.
Nice. I wish you all the very best of luck with it, because it sounds amazing.
Thanks.
It's really brilliant. But let's take it back to the beginning, actually. You got into music about, what, 5, 6 years old, was it, I think? About 5, 6 years? Early days, How'd you get into music? Was it for the family or friends, or did you just pick it up as a kind of whim thing and went from there?
Yeah, I mean, literally more picking it up as a whim, because we were lucky we had a piano in the house. Randomly, because my parents aren't musical, they don't play the piano, but we had this little upright. So yeah, my parents saw that I could play a bit by ear, just hearing melodies on the TV, and I'd start playing them on the piano, just picking out the starts and melodies. But they saw, oh wow, that's good. So that developed into when my dad had guests round, I would be the entertainment. So he'd like, right, come play them a song, baby. So I'd go and play that was my first gigs.
Nice.
But yeah, they got me lessons from there. So did classical, and yeah, all the way through school. Then I got a music scholarship to uni at Brunel. So I carried on. Yeah, that was great, because I probably definitely would have stopped lessons at that age, because I was much more into sport. So I was playing basketball, but just getting that award kept my weekly lessons going, kept me improving and learning. So yeah, that was kind of the training. And I was playing a lot by ear as well. So doing the classical, but I'm listening to the radio and I'm playing Eminem or Britney Spears, whatever was popping at that time. Casey and Georgio. So I had this real sort of ear for melodies and sort of pop, R&B, hip hop world, but doing the classical as well, and then developed into a professional career.
That's amazing, because that's exactly the same as me, actually, where with a keyboard at home. My parents like musical, but they sort of like exactly the same as you, just playing the keyboard and piano, just like picking things up by ear and just playing exactly the same as you. And I saw that when you first came across Rachmaninoff, which is your favorite composer still, is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was one of those moments where I just remember it so vividly. It's just the most impressive thing I'd ever seen. Is this little lunchtime concert, and this guy, I mean, he was a year above me, and he's playing the Rachmaninoff, and I don't know, it just blew me away. It really did. I was like, so the next lesson I said to my teacher, I need to learn that song.
Yeah.
And my teacher was so understanding because he saw that I really want to learn music on quite a deep level. I want to understand it. There's so many people in our school who are like doing grade 7 or grade 8, but if you take away the music, they can't play anything. They sort of had no musicality. There's nothing they were adding, and that just didn't interest me. So he started teaching me chords and listening techniques and all this kind of stuff. And so yeah, we got on, and I just loved learning that Rachmaninoff. Just took me in a whole new direction. And yeah,
that's amazing. I know, obviously, as we know, he's not enough having those giant hands as well. I mean, how did you find some of those kind of like big chords they had to play for those? Did you find it okay?
Yeah,
you're tall and big yourself. And how did you find those like kind of big stretches that you had to do for some of these pieces?
Yeah, do you know what? That was all what moved my technique forward so much. You know, even learning how to like maneuver my wrists just to get a bit more agile around the piano and things like that. So yeah, I found a way around.
Nice, that's brilliant. And talk about the grades as well. Did you do grades? You said you had lessons as well. Did you do grades as well?
Yeah, so I stopped at grade 5.
Okay.
So I did that, and then me and my teacher had a conversation. He's like, right, let's learn stuff that'll be sort of beyond grade 8 and, you know, all these other pieces, but let's make you a musician. Because most of the other kids, because it wasn't like a music specialist school, it was just great teachers within my school. He's like, let's make you a musician. Everyone else is there trying to pass the grades because it's going to help them get into uni. Because if you have certain grades, you get the UCAS points. And so it's all just, that's their agenda, more just pass it. It doesn't matter if it's merit or distinction, just do the next one, skip a grade. And he's like, no, come on, let's actually make you learn and understand, you know, some music. So
nice. And so you got scholarship to Brunel, which is incredible. Man, how was your time there for you? Was it amazing?
I loved it, man. I loved it. So, but like I said, the funny things at that point, I wasn't still sort of my lead thing wasn't music. You know, so I went there because I went to school outside of London. I said I need to come back to London so people know me as a basketball player. That's the crazy thing. So, I was like, I need to be famous as a basketball player. So, yeah.
Do you still play now, by the way, basketball?
Yeah, I mean, nothing serious, just very occasionally, but yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. But talk about the kind of listening and voting things. You also, like you mentioned, Usher as well as one of your inspirations for that kind of huge concert feel. I mean, what was that?
Sorry?
Usher.
Yeah.
As well, yeah. I mean, what was that? When you first saw something like that, I mean, how did that make you feel in terms of that kind of big concert feel? How was that for you when you first saw that?
Yeah, you know, I had a job at that point at Wembley Arena.
Did you?
So I got to see a lot of concerts just as a steward, and you know, you see certain artists and they've got that thing that is unteachable. But then you add to all of that the production, the way they build, the tension, the anxiety, and they got the hits. It's like this perfect combination that what was amazing to me is, say you got 10,000 people in the arena, or 12, 13,000. Most of us are going to see this person once in our whole life. And they've got this chance to make an impact on us for, like we're talking about it now. You know, it's like this amazing thing. Oh, when he started dancing like that. And you got this one chance to really give people this profound experience. And I remember watching it, just wanting to run on that stage. I'm like, I need to be a part of that. I was like, it's exciting to me. So I love taking things from the sort of pop world, which is just doing things on such a huge scale. And if I can add some of those elements to my kind of piano music, then I think, again, it's a great sort of combination.
Would you feel that he was one of your kind of main inspirations in terms of putting all those big performances, like whether it's just piano or with your orchestra as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of those productions, I love analyzing why it works. And then I probably spent a year when my analysis was, let's geek out for a second. I was studying any bands that were playing stadiums. I'm like, why have they got a worldwide following big enough to play stadiums, constantly? So I started to analyze some of the music and some of the elements in the music, some of the elements in the shows. And, you know, big thing from two of the big points were they build tension amazingly. And it's like, by the time it's they kind of give you the final thing. Yeah, the crowd is just so ready. Like Michael Jackson is the king of it. You know, he'll come out on stage and just stand there for like 10 minutes and not move. And the crowd's just screaming. And it's all this stuff to kind of get everyone together, but they want it so much, you know. And so it's like just drawing on these elements and how, even say I'm performing a piece of music, I think if you listen to an amazing pianist, they feel like they're taking their time. There's no rush. You'll never feel like they're rushing through a piece. They're just like, they're phrasing it in their time. They just stop at a phrase. They just want to wait. They'll just wait. And it's like, it's those bits, those little nuances that I've just been picking out and adding to my own performance with the orchestra and even solo. It's like, I think it's like how to craft a performance. That's what I love drawing those influences from everywhere.
That's amazing. I mean, who else did you get the chance to see whilst you were shooting? He's obviously mentioned Usher. Who else did you get to see as well and study whilst you were working there, and also outside of that as well?
I saw Diana Ross.
Wow.
That was crazy. That was amazing because I didn't know her music so much, but I mean, it's just such a feel-good show. You know, just all the costume changes and yeah, that was good. A really funny one was Britney Spears because there were so many complaints because obviously all these mums are bringing their little kids along to the show, and she's got all these different scenes. She's got a scene on a bed. She's kind of doing her thing with the dancers.
I remember that.
Yeah, so all these mums are complaining like crazy. Yeah, those are the two I remember actually. But it was definitely a sort of a kickstart. I just love live music, the sound, all the people together, the energy in the room, the feeling. It was like, this is so special.
It is, isn't it? And that's what I really missed now this past sort of year or so where we can't actually perform live. I mean, how have you been coping? Have you been, I always have to ask my kind of guests how they've been feeling. How have you been feeling this past sort of year or so since we can't officially perform properly? How have you been coping? Have you been okay?
Yeah, it's been the strangest year for me, to be honest, because we've been going full steam for a few years now, you know, and it's been great. You kind of don't realize how good it is when it's all happening. But I was loving it. We were playing in different countries. We were doing a whole range of different shows, from my music to doing corporates, weddings. We were playing, touring Dr. Dre's album, the orchestral version of that, all these other shows. And pretty quickly that all went. So, you know, we had the few months of, okay, postpone it, to just, it basically got cancelled. So it was really tough. I was like, okay, let me funnel my creativity into other things. So to building the studio, finishing my new album, I finished a live EP as well. And kind of the biggest thing, I had to fight to stay positive. I had to really focus my energy because there's so much negativity out there. There's so much despondence and people are unsure of what's happening. It's easy to get sucked into that. You know, there's some people who just enjoy that conversation, like, oh, it's all over, it's never, you know, and he can get really negative, which strangely can be quite comforting as well. I think that's why people love to go down those negative wormholes, and you can speak to someone about how bad it all is for hours. So I have to really choose to be positive and put out good energy and put out hope. I think hope is just like the biggest thing right now. That
definitely
something is coming, better days are ahead, kind of thing. Without
exactly
too cheesy, that's kind of the energy.
I'm just so glad that you're doing okay right now and putting out that positivity too. Like you said, that's what we need right now. We don't know when this whole thing will be over, but as long as we keep it calm and positive and working hard, that's all we can be. As long as you're okay as well, that's the main thing.
Yeah, making it through, man. So, thanks for asking.
My pleasure. That's another reason why I do the podcast as well, just to catch up with people and talk and see how they're getting on and then see what they're going through, really. And I found that this is another way that we could just make sure that everyone's doing okay at this time. Because like you said, everyone or most people have lost like jobs and performances or whatever it might be. But just to sit down and talk with someone is an amazing feeling, isn't it?
It is, man. It is. I love it. I love doing any of these podcasts and Insta Lives with people. I say, in a way, just to catch up with people and have a good chat, make sure everyone's, you know, that we're holding up okay. you know, finding a way through, because it is a tough time, but there's ways to get through this in a really positive way.
Definitely. Yeah. But I'd love to find out about the Infinity Orchestra, actually, which is obviously your amazing orchestra. So when did that all start for you?
Well, pretty much, so before it started, imagine I was a session musician for years.
Yeah,
so I've been
playing,
so I've been doing all this, and then I kind of moved away from that, and I put out my album. And this album was just a passion project. This was not a big release. Let's find a label. Let's, you know, get millions of streams on Spotify. There's none of that intention. It's just release the music. So I put it on Facebook, and I got an email or a message on Facebook saying, "Oh man, I love your album. I've got a gig coming up on this date. Do you want to be my support artist?" And I was like, "What?" I didn't even consider playing this live at this point. I was like, I just want to put this music out. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, put me down for it. So then I had to go and find some musicians. So, you know, trawling the internet, and just, you know, before that, I'm playing keyboards for Tinie Tempah. So a big hip hop rap artist, completely different world. So all of my contacts are like the best, you know, band musicians, the guitarists, bassists, drummers, keys players, singers, basically. I don't know any orchestral musicians, not one. No violinists, no cellists. I've never really done work with a lot of orchestral musicians. You know, bits, but nothing, you know, not a lot. But I've got this gig coming up, so, you know, I start trawling through a few of these musician directories, and I find one guy who looks amazing. He was like first violinist in a massive orchestra in Europe. He just moved to London. His number's on his profile. I call him up and I say, "Hey, listen, I've got this gig coming up, and if you can trust me, I think there's going to be a lot of work here. There's going to be a lot of good things coming. I'm kind of, you know, building a plan, and this is the first one, so I don't know what and maybe offer like £50 or something like that, or even to do it for expense. I don't know. It's basically a no money. It's like, let's just test this out, but trust me, you know, I've been around, and something good is happening here." And he said to me, "I've just moved to London, and the first 2 gigs I've done, I've had to do for free. And I don't want to be known as, you know, a musician that plays for free. You know I need to start, but, you know, it's just not the right thing for me. So if things pick up for you, you know, you start getting more, you know, well-paid gigs, call me, and I'd love to be a part of it." And I had to say to him, respect, because if someone called me at this stage of my career and said that to me, I would probably respond the same way. So unbelievably, then I got introduced to these 2 musicians who were just unbelievable. And they were kind of on the same level. They're like, "Let's just do it." We got into rehearsals, so just a violinist and a cellist, and man, I recorded the whole album just using plugins. And then I heard it live for the first time, and I was like, "This is unbelievable." Like, I mean, just the sound. I mean, I was like, this is just, I couldn't believe, I was just, yeah, I could feel it out. The energy was just going through me. So we get to this gig, and it's a members club, maybe about 80 people there. And we do the music for the first time. And I'm telling you, there's like this weird feeling just went across the whole room. And grown men started crying.
Wow.
You know, there's a man who came to me afterwards, I'll never forget, came and said to me, "Listen, I am not a crier, but something happened to me in that music, and tears started streaming down my face." And I was like, I get it. And because some of my friends, so there's a young girl that I think she was about 18, she's a pianist, so she came and spoke to me. It's just this whole mix of people all saying they don't know what happened, they felt this music. So that was the start, that was the seed. And because that reaction was so big, I was like, I got the bug now. And to be honest, I've been playing main stages and O2 Arena and these huge venues with Tinie Tempah. But this experience for like 80 people in this members club was like the most profound live music experience I'd ever had. So I was like, we need to build on this. We need to share this. It became a bit of a mission. So I just felt this was a really worthy thing to share. So I went and re-recorded the album with those guys playing.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I worked with those two for like 2 or 3 years, to be honest. And then one had left the country and the other was on our own different projects. And so I kept building it from there, finding more musicians. As I was doing more musicians were getting in touch with me as well. So it's put together this sort of unique little team, so
that's amazing. That is
Yeah.
so good. And obviously you mentioned the Dr. Dre tour as well. Was that the No Strings Attached? With him?
Yes.
Yeah. How was it? Yes. We worked with him as well. Incredible. How did you find working with him and the tour as well? How was that for you?
It was amazing because I said the important thing here is, like, especially coming from a sports background, I understand how important team chemistry is. Like, if you're tight as a unit, magic will happen on stage. That's just my belief. Like, I know you get top players, you give them the dots and they play and it feels they played it perfectly. But you get people that really like each other and really know each other. I think you can find another level. So that's why it's really important to me to do those Dre shows, because I knew we were going to do a ton of those shows. And we're on the road together, we're bonding, we're learning each other's styles on stage, and it worked. We did about 70 Dr. Dre shows.
Wow.
Yeah, 70 or 80. We were all over. We did UK a couple of times, Europe. I went to America and did it with an American orchestra. And I think all of those add to especially when I can come back and do my music. I'm like, man, we've got this team that we know each other's musical styles and how to play with each other so well. And amazing things happen.
That's incredible. How do you find the audiences in America compared to, say, UK artists or in a European audiences? How do you find that kind of difference?
Yeah, the Americans were great. Yeah, they loved it. Obviously, it means more to them playing Dr. Dre in LA than it does playing Dr. Dre in Brighton.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, we only ever had one bit of negative experience, I guess, which was the one in LA. So I start the shows off playing music from my album to sort of set the orchestral palette. We start on orchestral, play one of my bigger orchestral pieces. You can hear what the orchestra can do, and then we'll get into Dr. Dre shows. So
nice.
We did my bit. It started really well. I was like, man, this is a dream. And then the rapper came out, and the rapper is white, and the whole orchestra were white except for one other girl and me, who was from London. So the crowd didn't like it. In LA, there was the racial tension there is so high, and I thought we were having technical difficulties because of people's faces. I could see it looking back at me, and I thought they were saying they couldn't hear the mic and all this kind of stuff. But we saw on social media afterwards there was backlash from this sort of racial side of that. But beyond that, it has been amazing. The whole world over, people love the music. They love the orchestral vibe that adds to it. So.
That's amazing. Do you have any kind of personal favourite place that you performed at with the orchestra for the Dr. Dre tour?
Oh, to be honest, the one that stands out the most is the first one. Because, I think it was a shock. It was a shock for everyone because, obviously, I'm used to putting together hip-hop shows. And I'm used to playing big shows. That's fair. I've been doing that for years and years as a session musician. So we get to Bristol, and No Strings Attached, they're very chilled. So they'd seen one of my videos online and I said, do you guys want to come to rehearsal? Do you want to hear it? They're like, nah, we trust you. Okay, we get to the show, and to be honest, we could have been anyone. It could have been musically terrible. Thankfully, because of my experience, we had some great musicians and an amazing drummer. We were tight, and we get to Bristol, and I think 1,200 people there.
Wow.
And I'm in my element. I'm like, this is home. This is comfy for me. But I forgot most of my musicians in the Infinity Orchestra have only seen me when I'm playing my music, which is like a whole different side of me. It's obviously very emotional, very melodic, no lyrics. It's a completely different show. But I've grown up with Dr. Dre, so I know all the lyrics. I'm playing the keys and I'm rapping as well. And it was just incredible. The crowd went crazy. There were 2 floors, and they were, it was a great feeling.
That's mad. How many people are there now in the Infinity Orchestra? Are there quite a few?
Yeah, to be honest, we got probably about 30 on rotation.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest shows we've done have been with 18 of us.
Okay.
But generally, it's about 12 or 13 of us. That's what we can do the most of, because the venue sizes, and with that size orchestra, we get a lot more opportunities. You know, if it was just a full-on, we need a huge stage, and that was all we offered, we would miss out on quite a lot. So yeah, about 12 is a good size.
Nice. And I saw that when you also did the BBC Live Land with Jack Jones, actually. Was that part of your Infinity Orchestra as well, or was that kind of a separate little thing?
Yeah. No, it's all with the Infinity Orchestra. So yeah, we start working more with artists, you know, wherever we can. Obviously, the Dr. Dre experience, again, helped with that, because a lot of the musicians before this hadn't really done any sort of pop music or really understood that world, you know. So it's good to get him with Jack Jones, and he called us again. We did that twice, and we worked with Burna Boy, which was amazing. A huge one. That was in Wembley Arena.
Wow.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't even know if I can say this yet, but I'll give you the exclusive.
Yes.
So we were supposed to be last week doing the Grammys with him.
No way. The
Yeah.
Grammys.
Yeah. So we should have been doing the Grammys with Burna, but obviously everything's been changing. The Grammys have been postponed, so it might still happen, but yeah, it's been, like I say, whenever we get the call back, that is like the greatest compliment to me. I'm like, thankfully, they took a chance on us because they saw what it was. We worked together. It worked great. They called us back. That's always a great sign. So
that is amazing, bro. Like, when you get, say, calls for such major artists to do these major events, I mean, what's the feeling like that you come across? Is it excitement? Is it like nerves? Is it a mixture of different things? How did it make you feel when you got such amazing things that coming forward to you?
Yeah, well, you know, it's always been excitement for me. It's always been, I think, yeah, it's weird. I know there's some musicians who are like super cool and sort of celebrity doesn't really faze them or anything. Not that it fazes me, but I like to get excited by musicians and artists that I appreciate. So, like I said, when I got called to play with Tiny Tempah, that was huge for me, and I loved it. It meant a lot to me. You know, before that, you know, I'd done shows with Leona Lewis, and when I heard, you know, when that came through, it's this massive excitement. I'm like, this is great. Now we can get to work, but I like to feel the excitement. So
definitely. But go back to what you said earlier about that kind of chemistry with you and your group. It's something that I've also did as well, because obviously, as you know, we are on the Hip Hop Orchestra, and the group that I work with, I call them family, because we have such close chemistry. We're so close with each other. And I've always said as well with that, it shows on stage, doesn't it? Like you said, where people can see that close chemistry, that family bond with each other, and it shows. And I think, like you said, like you can give a musician music and they play it perfectly, no worries, but it doesn't always have that kind of right kind of vibe to it, does it? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But having that right chemistry is always key, I feel, and having the right people around you is just amazing, isn't it?
It's amazing, and it makes all the difference. You know, I can give little kind of cues, basically with my eyebrows, and they'll know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like my little hand, because we've got no conductor, so they just look at me and they know when I want to do. But if I need them to stand up, there's somebody's like, come on, we can. I know orchestras generally sit down the whole time, but like, okay, it's the last song. This is the big bit, and I just give them a nod, and they know. And imagine when I first used to do that. You know, I used to have to scream at them to stand up because they were so out of their comfort zone. You know,
get up!
They'd be like, and they'd look around, the other stand up, whereas now, and they're so ready on the edge of their seat.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know what? I noticed that in your videos actually, where you're like, obviously you're in the middle sometimes, and you're like looking over like, you.
Yeah.
What is like, yes, love that.
That's it. And they understand it, and it's great. It's you can't teach that stuff. That's just, you have to learn each other.
Definitely. Does that take a little while to get used to that, in terms of just like a little eyebrow raise or a little wink, say, to get them to do what you wanted to do?
Yeah, definitely. It takes time. And you know, if I think back to where we started, like I said, there's a lot of things which are out of their comfort zone, because if you've grown up playing, you know, in chamber orchestras and, you know, much more standard classical scenes, to now be standing up and playing, so you had to memorize a part, to be performing. See, this is the whole thing. It's like I could have easily reconfigured the stage. So it was like me, the artist, orchestra way back, all in black, head down.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all up, some of them actually in front of me, you know, so we're like all a unit here. And so they know they're on stage. You guys are front and center, you are performing. So a lot of them had to learn how to perform, you know, so you can actually give that energy. Let that energy shoot off from their instrument to the back of the room, rather than being right in the back with a huge orchestra, head down vibe, and just playing the dots. So yeah, we learn this stuff. They've come out of their shells, and you know, in a big way. So we can. So when we get to that big stage, they can perform.
Exactly. Yeah. I noticed that as well, actually, with previous members of the orchestra, where they are so classically trained, where they couldn't get their comfort zones, and they needed the sheet music in front of them to actually play what they needed to play. And like you mentioned there, like you kind of memorized the pieces, and then eventually got their shells and they could do what they wanted. Was that the same sort of thing for you previously as well, where maybe they couldn't, say, improvise a section, or they couldn't memorize it, and they needed sheets in front of them? Was that the same sort of thing for you as well?
Yeah, I mean, well, this is where I need to learn the musicians, because there's some of them who are super confident when it comes to improvising, some of them who really aren't. So you don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. Some of them like to have something prepared. So, yeah, for example, we did a show in Germany, and I just had this idea that, I mean, I don't know if you ever have your musicians walk out into an audience when it's the appropriate time, but you know, I've had some musicians try and do that. And if they're not really comfortable doing that, it's even more uncomfortable for the person on the other side of it. You know, they've like got a violinist half playing in their face. They're like, but you know, I've got a couple of guys who are amazing at it. They make people feel comfortable. They make them smile and join in. Those are the right ones to do that. Then for this show in Germany, I had one of the girls, she just walked out playing, we're playing Hallelujah. She's playing the melody from that, and her vibe is not to look at anyone or engage with anyone. It's just to like float around the room and play. It's just this beautiful moment. So that is more in her comfort zone. So it's like, for me, it's learning these things, how the musicians can shine. You know, that's like, okay, if they do that, it makes the whole show a better show.
Definitely. And during your time since the start of Infinity Orchestra as well, did you kind of look to anyone to give you advice on anything, or did you like learn from, say, different musicians, say, okay, let's try this, maybe this works better for musicians, or did anyone help you along your way in terms of how to deal with certain situations, like say different musicians or performance skills?
Yeah, do you know what? I was lucky I had a couple of people I could just talk to rather than get advice from. It was more like I was, you know, I really tried to keep an open mind so I could create something. So rather than ask, okay, what's the best way to do this? I said, no, what's the new way to do this? So a lot of the stuff that I do may be considered wrong, but to me, it's perfect, because we're doing something different. We're doing something different. So thankfully, the results were good, so people got involved. And people trusted me. I don't know why it happened from the start, but luckily people let me go with my ideas. So it's fantastic. Like, I say, even the configuration of the orchestra, sometimes it's not easy for them to see each other, because I'm in the middle, and you know, obviously normally a concert piano is side on. But my thing is like, I'm gonna make it face the audience, because my thinking was, imagine there's, you know, rock star guitarist. And he's killing his solo, and the audience is here, and he's standing here. And he's reading the dots, and he's reading the dots. And that was just, I was like, you know what? There's something that happens when you analyze the rock stars, the people that do something to people on stage. They're facing the audience, and it's back and forth energy. That's why I wanted the orchestra like this, and we're giving this wall of sound and energy, and it's coming back from the audience, and this is beautiful. This is kind of my thinking, rather than having the piano here and the orchestra in the back. You know, which some people did say that to me when I asked for feedback on like a video. There was one manager, and he said to me, "There's too much of the orchestra. It needs to be all about you." you're the artist. And so I understood there's a way I can get that across, that I'm the artist, but still have the ideas of, I want the orchestra involved because it's such a beautiful sound they're bringing. So yeah, it's good to have people who can just speak these ideas out to, rather than say, advise me, show me the way, because I know I'm just trying to find a new way.
And when you kind of approach different projects, say the Dr. Dre tour or work with people like Jack Jones and so forth, when you're composing the music, do you tend to say work with the piano first and then build around that? Or do you kind of take different approaches depending on what project you're working on?
Yeah, I generally start with the piano. That's my comfort zone. Yeah. Even if it's just to get a real handle on the chord progressions in the songs, let me start there, and then we can, so be at piano, chords, structure the song, sounds, sound design. You know, we did a Daft Punk show. Their synths are just crazy. Spent hours programming one thing. And then some sound effects. You know, added quite a lot of bits of Dr. Dre show, little just whooshes and rises and explosions and all this kind of stuff. And that's how I like to start to build. Then I've kind of got the backbone of it, and I understand what's happening, and we just kind of build around.
Nice. Because you mentioned synths there as well, obviously with Daft Punk tour, and obviously with your performances where you use a lot of synths as well. What's it like kind of mixing between, say, a grand piano and synths? What's it like to mix the two together? Can they get kind of overwhelming? Because I'm like, oh, I want to switch to that one now. Let's go with that. What's it be like?
Yeah, you know, it can. I think what I learned really is I have to practice a lot, because the only way that this works is I need to have this music and where I'm going, what I'm touching when in my muscle memory, because I'm trying to perform and I'm trying to lead and work with other musicians. If I'm concentrating on what I'm doing on my hands and in the music, I can't perform it. So, you know, I've kind of come up with ways to really, to practice, to get the music into my hands and into my muscle memory.
Nice. I saw that you did a performance in the Austrian mountains, actually, for David Lama?
Yeah, David Lama, yeah.
Lama. How was that for you? The venue looked incredible in Austrian mountains.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was one of the most powerful music experiences of my life. Genuinely, I think as it was happening, I remember I had one moment on stage where I was like, someone please get my phone and film this, was my thought. And I was like, no, just take this in. This is unbelievable. And, you know, it was weird, not weird, but it was, the only strange thing is it was for a funeral. So David Lama, tragically, he had died. He was a mountain climber. He was young. He was sort of tipped to be one of the best in the world. And he had been at one of my performances early in that year. And he told his management he wanted my music to be in his documentary.
Wow.
So, yeah, which was amazing. So obviously when he passed away, his management and his family reached out to me and said, look, David loved your music and he wanted it. So can you come and perform it? So I said, yeah, what an honor. So we went out there, I think 6 of us. And, you know, they had this idea, which was like a sea of fire. So everyone had a stake of fire. So it's just like all the elements. You got the mountains, you got his favorite mountain on one side, 2,000 people holding these stakes of fire.
I saw the picture.
Playing music. And it was just, you know, that I was like, this is beyond my dreams of what I hoped I'd be able to do with this music. But it was helping his family get through this time, and it was just lifting spirits in that moment. I still get messages about that today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned obviously the stakes there, which I saw the picture of, obviously, like from behind the crowd, and see a couple of thousand people just holding stakes with the flames going up was, to me, I got emotional looking at that picture, because I obviously knew the reason for it. I mean, how does that make you feel when you're actually performing for someone so amazing like that?
Yeah, it's one of the, I wish I had more words, but honestly, it was just so powerful. It is one of those things that I wish more people could experience from a musical performance standpoint. Obviously not the memorial, but just being out in nature and having this sound, you know, it was just amazing. It's just amazing. And yeah, I mean, for example, I'm going out to Austria again this summer because someone who was there, he's getting married. He's asked me to come and play for his wedding.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's like everyone who was there, you couldn't help but feel it. It was just that kind of thing in the air that is, yeah, that's why people still send me messages now. They're like, yeah, I was there for that. I will never forget that day. I'll never forget it. So
that's
incredible. It happens like that sometimes. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I want to kind of get into your tour life actually as well. You as a session musician as well, actually. But before we get into people you work with, you obviously mentioned a couple earlier. What is tour life like actually? Because I've heard it's amazing, but really tough. I mean, how did you find it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did it at the right time because I kind of had limitless energy. And I think it depends a lot on the show. Let me say that as well. So because with Tiny Tempah, the music is so high energy that you haven't got a choice. Your adrenaline takes over. Yeah. And no matter how tired you are, I mean, I give you this as a scenario. We flew to Australia and I'm telling you, 10 minutes before going on stage, the whole green room, everyone is sleeping.
Really? Yeah.
We are literally, everyone is lying down, cuddled up in little couches, on the floor with like a rucksack. Everyone's sleeping. 10 minutes later, we go out, must be 50,000 people there.
Wow.
We were on 100. Everybody was just turned up because you can't help it. The music, the energy of the crowd, you find it, not you find it, but you feel amazing. So yeah, for that tour, even if we were jet lagged, we were tired, we still found a way. But we worked hard. I think that's the reward, you know, that moment on stage. But we really worked hard. And you know, when the artist cares about the music as well, it's you have to give everything because, you know, for example, that I think is the show after that one in Australia, Tiny Tempah actually called us into a conference room in the hotel. So we finished the show, we flew to another city. We're all really tired. We get to the hotel, we just want to sleep. And management say, guys, downstairs in 10 minutes. They've got a whole setup. They play back the live show to us. They got all our solo stems. So he'd be like, guys, the show's not good enough. This part wasn't right. He soloed a drum bit. Change that fill there. Played this bit on the keys and the synths. Why did you play that? We didn't do that in rehearsals. Play guitar. So he's analyzing. He cares so much about the music. So we were all like, right, we're going to have fun, but we've got to deliver. We have to deliver. So yeah, wow. I did love touring. When you get the right team and the artist, like I say, really cares as well. Yeah, it's great.
That's great. And I saw that you opened for John Legend and Prince as well, actually.
Yeah.
Wow, so, what was that like to work with those two?
Yeah, this is it. You get some wild experiences. That is the crazy bit about it. And yeah, again, Prince was in Australia. So we flew to Australia. The best bit of that for me was soundcheck. So Prince had he had said no one is allowed in the arena for soundcheck.
Really?
I'm like, yeah, that was one of his rules. But I said, nah, it's Prince. It's an arena. Let me go sit right up in the top. But I'm watching the soundcheck. Yeah. And he is unbelievable. He's on the guitars. He's checking every pedal he's playing through. The whole band sounds incredible. And they finished pretty quickly because it's just a well-oiled machine. So they didn't need a crazy long sound check. The band leave and Prince stays. He just stays on the keys there by himself, just playing. I'm like, man, I love it. I love it. It just shows this guy just loves music. Like when you're Prince's level, not even before that, you don't need to be at sound check. Someone will sound check for you. Just turn up and be Prince. But he was going in. Like John Legend, he wouldn't turn up for sound check. No, that's not a knock on John Legend because he delivers 100% on stage. But he's got his team. They were the best pros in the world, and it was all done. But Prince was there for sound check, and he was staying after the band. Yeah, that was a good thing to see.
That's amazing because I've never been a big Prince fan, but I've always appreciated his genius and how amazing he actually was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about the way if I brought up any emotions from earlier. I'm sorry. I feel sorry if I made you emotional from earlier. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dee. I'm sorry. I'm really bad. I'm sorry.
No, I'm good, bro. I'm good.
You sure you're okay?
I'm good.
But you say like that Prince. I was never a big Prince fan, but I appreciated how amazing he actually was. I mean, for you, was he?
Yeah.
Do you feel that he was one of the most gifted performers and musicians that you've got to see and work with as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Because
he plays everything as well, doesn't he?
He plays everything. But what I love most about Prince is a word that sticks out for me, and that is prolific. Like someone like Prince could easily. I mean, fellas, we know there's a ton of talented people, like super talented people, and they may have finished 10 songs in their life, but they may have 100 ideas. Prince finished, recorded, stuck in his vault thousands of songs. Like his work rate, his creativity was just limitless. I think that's probably what I respect the most. It's like you just got, it's unbelievable.
I heard about the vote actually. Obviously, when he passed, he had like literally, like you said, thousands of.
I was ready to go albums forever.
I mean, can you imagine if someone actually found it though and just?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's like a gold mine, isn't it?
It's a gold mine. It's a gold mine. Yeah.
Did you get the chance to hear any unreleased material for Prince actually?
No chance.
Okay,
yeah, no, that didn't happen. That would have been a good story.
Oh my God, it would have been. But going back to your sort of the people you work with as well, obviously you mentioned Leona Lewis and Tinie Tempah. You've also done people like Duke Dumont, obviously Grammy winner, Tinie, The Westlife, and loads of others. I mean, there must have been amazing working with such amazing people like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. It was amazing. And I tell you, I think I'm an observer, as you may have gathered. I'm an observer, I'm an analyzer. I like to understand the thinking behind something and the people behind something. And you really learn that when you got people you're working with who are doing it at that level. You know, where when I was working with Duke Dumont, he had the #1 song on the dance charts in America. So we sold out the LA, the Hollywood Bowl, like everywhere.
Amazing.
Pretty much 6-week tour, pretty much everywhere sold out. So it's good to be around people when they're in their moment and how that all works and see how they work, see who's behind this stuff that is affecting thousands of people. You know, it really fascinates me. I love working with Kian Egan because, you know, he's like, he can never lose because he's in people's hearts. So you learn that you get some artists, because they've been successful for so long, that connection they have with their fans is just, he just needs to stand there and he's made their day. You know, that's the thing. And there's a few artists I've worked with who've kind of got that. And then you get the really, like the talent where it's like you're just blown away by the talent. Like when I had my in-ears on and I heard Leona Lewis singing, I was just like, this is unreal. Like just her voice, I was like, unbelievable.
Getting goosebumps.
Yeah. We were doing obviously her big song Run. And it's the first rehearsals. She didn't do a lot of live stuff. So when she does it, they kind of go all out. So we're in this warehouse and they've got the choir and full production team, her parents are there. She comes in, we're doing.
See, I'm getting emotional already. Just listen to that.
So playing that and bro, and then she starts singing it and you're like, you just got a gift from God, like your voice. And I just wish she was more of a natural performer. That was the only thing, because you know, she got really comfy in that rehearsal and she starts going places with her voice. I was like, epic. Oh, and then when we got on stage, she held back a bit. She went insane. I was like, I wish you did what you did in rehearsal. But yeah, it's amazing to work with all these different types of people who are having these sort of worldwide smash hit successes.
Yeah, I mean, how tough is it for you as a session musician just to turn up? Because some people might not know exactly what a session musician actually does, but
Mm.
what for you actually, if it's okay with you, what does it say? Obviously, we both know, obviously, because you did it, but
Mm.
what does a session musician actually do? What's involved with being a session musician?
Yeah, so we play with the artist for their live performance, and maybe the studio as well, some studio recording. But it's essentially a high gun. You need a pianist, the keyboardist, the guitarist. You call it a session musician. So we're not part of the band. So you get, your band, your Coldplays, and you've got the band who are Coldplay.
Mm-hmm.
With a session musician, you'll get Ed Sheeran, and you'll get a band if he's got a band on that day, and you get the musicians behind him who just hide-in musicians, session guys or girls. That's what I was. So, I would get the call. These are the dates. This is the artist. Are you available? Or you go through an audition process and you audition to get in the band.
Nice. And you mentioned obviously performing at the O2 with Tiny Tempah, which is one of my favourite venues as well. Is that one of your favourite places to perform at? Do you feel?
Oh yeah, I mean that is special. It's a special place. There, Wembley Arena, obviously the SSE Arena now, but I grew up in Wembley. Like I could hear the crowds at Wembley Stadium from my house growing up.
Wow.
So we got the chance to play in Wembley Stadium for the super, the American NFL have a NFL match in London.
Yeah.
So we did the halftime show for that.
No way.
Yeah, and obviously growing up around the corner from that venue and then playing on that was a big deal. That was a big one.
Yeah. You performed 4 times, is that correct? At Wembley?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, were they all for Tiny Tempah, or were they for all the NFL things, or were they different artists each time?
Yeah, all different. So for opening up for John Legend, played there with Craig David.
Yes, Craig.
Yeah. And Tiny Tempah. Was that once or twice? Yeah.
Nice.
So all a few different people.
Sick. What was the Craig David show like?
Yeah, great. I mean, that was just a one-off. He's cool. He's so thankful to sort of be back in the limelight.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is really cool to work with him at that point in his career. He was just there thanking everyone. Yeah. He was like, I'm just happy to be here.
That's sick. That's so good, bro. Man, honestly. And I saw that you worked with the Russian artist Sergei Lazarev, sorry, you got to write and tour with. And you actually relocated to Moscow for a few years. I mean, what was that like, to move to a whole new country?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the start of everything. That was a pivotal sort of moment because, my degree was business. So I was kind of having to go into the business world, corporate, working in an office. But I did this audition for Sergei. And I got the contract to go and play with what was described to us as the Russian Robbie Williams.
Nice.
At that point, Robbie was like the Don. He was selling 100,000 tickets. He was the guy. And obviously over here, we'd never heard of Sergei.
Yeah.
And, did the audition, got the contract and moved out to Moscow, which was supposed to be for 4 months. So we were going to rehearse for 1 month, a big show, and then tour for 3 months. And it's like in the first week of rehearsals, you're like, okay, this is cool. I like the music, like the guys, it's exciting. And then we go out for some lunch, to like a McDonald's in the middle of Moscow, and he shuts the whole place down. Everyone's like, oh my God, Sergei.
Wow.
And we're like, oh, this guy's famous for real. Okay. And so the tour started off really well, very intense because Russia is huge. So big travel days. I mean, on the Trans-Siberian Rail, we're traveling on the trains, it was intense, but it went so well that after that first 3 months, they said, guys, we love you. Can you stay? Can we extend the contract? So we stayed for 6 months, 6 more months, 6 more months, a year, and literally came up to around 4 years, I think, of doing that, which was just, beautiful experience because we went straight into work with an artist he's got hit songs, he's got crazy fans, and he's a national treasure. So we're playing you know, these kind of really special gigs. We played in the Kremlin, you know, we played in Red Square, we played all over, which is amazing.
That's amazing. That's like one of the performances was a live TV broadcast. Was it for Israel or something where 100,000 people were involved?
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the first time. That was the first time, and obviously one of the few times, obviously, I played for that many people. But the crazy thing was, in soundcheck or before soundcheck, we went for a walk down to the back of this field just to see how far back this place goes.
Yeah.
And to then get on the stage and see it filled up was just nuts. It was just, and to add to like, the pressure, we did like a 10-minute piano vocal medley. And they got these huge broadcast cameras. He's like, cameras like on his shoulder, kind of thing. And he's right by the keys. He's in my face. He's on the keys. In my face. He's on the keys. I'm like, can you back up? Can you like use your Zoom or something? Yeah, serious pressure. But yeah, these are the experiences, man. They teach you how to sort of deal with any nerves. It's like, how do you, as much as you know this song, there's 100,000 people out there. It's going on live TV. There's a huge house camera, right?
Yeah.
How do you get ready to give a performance? So that's kind of where I learned how to get myself. Yeah, you sort of take it all in, and you still deliver a performance that can touch people.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what you said earlier about the kind of getting like getting advice and stuff. I mean, did anyone give you advice for this kind of performance? Say, look, it's so many people and on TV as well. Let's just focus on this. Did anyone kind of give you advice on how to deal with it all? Because such pressure as well for you, especially.
Yeah, not really, to be honest. It is such a weird, unique thing because, I mean, something like that definitely can happen in the UK because any artist that level, they would have a very experienced band of session musicians. This was essentially my first gig. That's the crazy thing. I just come out of uni as a basketball player who was doing classical. So I could play, but I learned on the job. That is the thing. So we had this unbelievable sort of training experience that I could not have got anywhere else in the world, really. If I was in London, it would be the usual sort of working up from small venues, unsigned artists, bits here, bits there. You try and work your way up. But this was straight in at the top. So
that's
you learn.
crazy.
Yeah.
That is great. Like straight into that to people.
Yeah.
Bro,
live TV, 100,000 people, piano solo, 12 minutes. Yeah, it was, yeah.
Wow. I commend the hell out of you for that. Like, that uni, doing Barcelona straight to that. I mean, bro, that is amazing. Amazing. And the obvious thing I thought about, though, was the language barrier that Mike had. And what was that like to deal with? Obviously, did you learn any Russian while you were there, or just translators to deal with to go through everything?
Yeah, so I decided I was going to learn Russian because the big thing for me is they've got a different alphabet. So literally, you can't read, you can't write, you can't speak. And we went to, like days off, we went to KFC. We're trying to order KFC, and there's some places where they spoke no English and no English menu. Usually there was one or two people who could speak a bit, or they'd have an English menu. But we look at them like this: chicken wings with flour. Chicken, you want chicken? And so I'm like, right, let me learn a bit. So I got all these audio programs. I'm like, we're traveling so much. We're traveling, let me throw on a little audio thing. And then obviously I can practice with the locals. So yeah, I could speak quite well enough to have a conversation.
Brilliant.
While I was there, not so well now, obviously, but yeah.
Wow. Did you have teachers there as well to help you with how to obviously learn and read and write it as well?
No, just Sergey and his team, and yeah, I mean the audio program is really good because once you got the basics, and when you're living there and you hear it being said, and sometimes someone says a sentence and you understand one or two words, but you can understand what they're trying to say, and you just learn like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Would you say that's one of your best memories today? That whole experience.
Yeah, a huge learning experience. It felt, so truly unique. Like I said, just to I learned so much. Again, one of my first experiences of the real power of music, because some of the songs that I'm playing, I don't know what they're saying. He had a song in French and he had songs in Russian. I didn't understand a single word, but I was loving it. You know, and, similarly, his songs in English, a lot of the audience don't speak English, but they're singing back in English. You know, and I'm seeing that there's something that happens with music that is just, it sort of transcends language and culture. You know, at that time, I came back home for a period. I wrote some songs for his album. I'm like, man, these songs that I wrote in my mum's house, in my bedroom, and I'll be sang in an arena in Russia by 13-year-old Russian girls. I'm like, what is...
What? Yeah. Now, what's that like for you then? Like, I think of your mum's house to the live stage and album. What's that like?
Yeah, just, you know, it just shows me, it reinforced to me what I always believed, that is like, music is a special thing. You know, really, it's one of the great connectors of our world. And, you know, beyond race, and a lot of people say, oh, what's it like being a black man living in Moscow? I'm like, if you got good energy, I didn't have one bad experience here. They treated me amazingly. Strangers would meet me and they would say, they wouldn't let me buy a drink. You're like, no, really? You're my brother. You're going to have a good time in Moscow. And yeah, when I saw that happen with this music that I've written at home, or one song I wrote, you know, on the kitchen table in that, you know, flat in Moscow, and you get it to sound right, and it can have this effect. It lives now. It's on his greatest hits album.
Wow.
You know, he used to finish the show with one of these songs. You know, it's like, his music's just a beautiful thing.
That is incredible. And that's like the perfect segue now to your album, actually. With Zero, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Zero, yeah.
Zero, yeah. Which is, I've got the meaning of it. Is it creating something from nothing? Was that the meaning behind it? Is that the meaning behind the word?
Create something from nothing, yes.
Really, yes. So let's talk about your album, actually. So, first of all, congratulations. It's amazing, by the way. And
thank you, man.
Pleasure, man. And how did it all come about then to your own album? When did you go for a full album?
Yeah, well, I finished, you know, this big tour with Tinie, Tempah, and yeah, we've done Australia, Malaysia, and then the full UK tour. And as I said, anyone that doesn't know this music, spend 5 minutes on YouTube. It's super high energy. It's shirts off, you know, shots of whiskey on stage. It's turned up. It's amazing. And I must have got back to my flat and thought, you know what, I just need to relax. I just want something relaxing. And I just sat down at the piano and I started playing this song. I was like, I've always wanted to do a piano album. Now's the time. I've got time. So I did the first song, and then I set the music to some like Blue Planet nature epic kind of visual. And I was like, yeah, this feels good. Funnily enough, that song didn't make the album, but that really got me going to do it. And I thought, you know, I just really want to do this album. So yeah, just composed all the music. I spent a long time refining it because I'm teaching myself how to mix and teach myself, you know, I'm just having a go. I'm just having a go and just doing whatever feels good. I'm just, you know, in a way with all the session stuff, I felt a bit restricted because, you know, I've got my in-ears in my ears and I've got the click, and you have to play exactly to this tempo. You can't phrase things differently. Everything's just set. I wanted the freedom to just pause, just express this music side. For most of the songs, no click track. It's just free time, free flowing, just express this music. So that was it. It was just a pure passion project. I didn't expect to perform live. I didn't do like a big release, 5 days, 4 days, 3 days. None of that. It's just a genuine, guys, I made an album, here's some music. And yeah, it's just so well received that, like I said, we re-recorded it. And then I had to kind of rebrand myself because I was known as, you know, Tinie's keys player, you know, and that's very much in that. I was like, no, I actually I want you guys to hear this music now. So to take me a bit more seriously, you know, I'd start to dress a bit differently, more blazers, more suits, but without trying to be like a sort of in a tuxedo by a piano.
Love the clip, by the way.
Yeah. So it's kind of, you know, a bit of a rebrand. And then it was taking everything I learned from Sergey in Russia to Leona Lewis to Tinie Tempah, all of that, to now put that into my own live performance, my own vision of a live performance. And so as that started to come together, then this thing just took on a life of its own. And obviously we've done stuff in different countries around the world, played all over the UK, you know, helped obviously creating the Infinity Orchestra off the back of this album. And yeah, it's just been a natural progression.
That's amazing, bro, honestly. How long did it take you to create the whole album?
Oh, that's a good question.
Roughly.
Probably about 3 months.
Okay.
3 or 4 months, yeah. But it was intense. I was on it. I was living by myself. I was just in this. I was in the cave.
Yeah.
You know, I'd wake up in the morning. I'd go for a walk. I'd listen back to what I'd done the day before. I'd spend the morning tweaking, mixing a little bit. So there's some songs, I may have had 70 or 80 versions of the song.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you bring outside influences to help you kind of say, like, rearrange bits, or did it literally all stand to you to do everything?
No, I did the whole thing, you know, partly because I was just learning. To be honest, I saw it as a big learning experience. It's like, I still don't feel confident mixing music for anyone else, but I will mix my stuff. I know how to achieve the sound I want for me. So I was just using it as a learning experience, messing around with different sounds, different synths, adding this element, adding that. Yeah.
Amazing, bro. Amazing. So good, so good. And do you plan to release any more in the future? As well, more albums later on down the line?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I've got my next album is ready and it's done. We've been performing it. The crazy thing is I was supposed to release it last year. Obviously, now I am trying to do it a bit more strategically. And with all the lockdowns and not being able to go out and then perform it, I postponed it. Now we're just trying to sort a little deal out, you know, behind the scenes. So hopefully that all comes through the next couple of weeks. And then, yeah, but I've got a full album done, and I've got a live EP to release as well.
Nice.
So yeah, music videos done. I've got so much content that I've used this time to just produce, you know, and write. And,
that's incredible.
To
Same, I can't wait to hear it, but honestly, that's amazing. Honestly, cannot wait. But last question, if we go, is how was Deal or No Deal?
You know what? Shall I tell you the funny thing? Like, Deal or No Deal, it's so funny because it's just a game show.
Yeah.
But it's a big deal. To me, it's a big deal. And I don't know if you did this through lockdown, but one thing I did is kind of like, even what we talked about today, it's great to look back, but I was sort of piecing my life back. I'm like, oh, this happened and that led to that. Oh, if that didn't happen, that wouldn't have happened. Oh, so that is what. And Deal or No Deal is one of those big moments in the whole story. And yeah, at the time I was a student, and you know, I saw this ad in the paper saying, "Do you want to win a life-changing amount of money without using your brain?" That was the line. I was like, I'm in. The other big show at the time was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? I'm like, let me not go and embarrass myself on that. I like the sound of this Deal or No Deal. Got selected to do that. And yeah, I was just in a really positive, maybe that sort of young person, slightly naive place in life, but I like that place. And you know, the grand prize was 250,000, bro. I was convinced 100% I was gonna win this. I was gonna win the grand prize. And if you ever watch the episode, when that goes and my face drops, the amount of messages I got saying, "Bro, why are you crying?" That's what I was, you know, but I was so sure. But you know, long story short, you know, I came out, won £17,000.
Amazing.
And well, yeah, and that was as a 21-year-old student. So it felt like I won $1 million. That's the way my friends treated me. You know, you're a student. You know, everyone was like, it's literally like I won the lottery. So that's what it felt like. But that allowed me to buy the equipment that I then used to audition for Sergey. And I then used to tour for the first part round when I was playing in Russia. It's like, without that, I wouldn't have had the right keyboards to even go to the audition with. You know, the other guys at the audition, they already had professional keyboards. And, you know, I was a pianist. I was either playing the piano in the rehearsal room or like a dinky little keyboard I had when I was 10 years old, literally in my dorm at uni. So it's a big deal. And it did help. That was a seed that started actually, you know, on that musical journey.
Oh, well, what an amazing way to end the podcast, though. But honestly, my mother, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. It was so good to talk to you today. Thank you.
So good, so good. I really appreciate this and all you're doing. I've been enjoying listening back, you know, all that you're putting out, all you're doing. The fact that you've done this many podcasts, you know, massive respect to you. I know a lot of people start and don't do more than 10. And I was just listening to number 43. I was like, yeah, epic. So
thank you, my brother. Thank you, brother. You too, for all your work that you're doing. Honestly, huge respect. So keep up the amazing work. Honestly, and how can people find you actually online, just to make sure as well?
Yeah, so check out the Sunday Slowdown. That's the big thing that is coming up. So we're going to do, like I said, bi-monthly. But the best way is to find it on Instagram. So if you go to Okiem Official, so OKIEM Official, that's my main Instagram page, and at the Infinity Orchestra for some extra bits. But yeah, join us, the Sunday Slowdown, twice a month, just some solo piano music to relax us through virtual. So join from anywhere in the world.
Amazing, brother. Thank you. And that's the end of the episode, everyone. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.